Alright guys, in this video we are going to use something called a sweep tool. We are going to be creating this hook shape, okay? Um, and so follow along and learn how to use it. This is a sweep, we just learned to revolve. They actually operate very similarly. It's just that a sweep is more so like, it's not necessarily a circular like revolve is insinuating that you want it to go like around a 360-degree turn, a circle. A sweep is going to be actually more defined by the profile that you draw. So we're going to draw a profile instead of clicking on an axis. So to do so, we are going to basically, let me edit this real quick so you can see. We are going to be creating the face. And in this case, we're going to be creating the circle face, all right? And then we're going to, so this face, this cross section, and then we're going to define an axis for it to sweep around, which is going to be this like line, arc, line kind of deal here. Okay. So you might feel like you could do this. You may be like, Mrs. Wynn, I have no idea how to do that. Well, good news, I have a video for you. So the only tricky thing about this is that we're going to have to create these sketches on planes that are perpendicular. So we're going to draw the face on one plane, their circle, and then we're going to finish that sketch and flip it to another plane that is going to intersect the sketch perpendicularly. And so I'll show you what I mean by that because it has to work together for Onshape to understand what you want to do correctly. So let's get started. We're going to start with a sketch per usual. Flip my dealio around so it looks like yours. We're going to start with a sketch and then we're going to do it on the front face. And our sketch, again, see here, it's just going to be a circle, okay? The nice thing is about that, this one is that the sketch is actually really simple. It's going to be the profile that's more complex. So we're going to grab a circle, go ahead. Let's center it on the 0, 0 axis. So center it on that origin there. And go ahead and draw it. Let's dimension this to be, I'm going to keep this a bit small. And then make sure it's centered and you're good to go. All right, finish that sketch. So now what we need to do is create that profile. So what I was talking about earlier, meaning like it has to be perpendicular, is that we need that profile to like slice through our circle. Okay, so we're gonna draw it on the top face here, and we're gonna have a slice through our circle so that it can take that circular face and it can run it along a profile. Okay, so let's create a sketch on the top face, and we're going to toggle over to the top. Okay. What makes this a little tricky is that our circle, we cannot see it. You can hover over and actually see it. And that's part of the reason why I wanted you to draw on the origin, because we're going to start our line on the origin. If we look at the profile, you know, approximately that we want to make, I'm going to start with the line. I'm going to do a 3-point arc, do another line, 3-point arc, and then finish with the line. Okay. So you can challenge yourself, see if you can do that. I'm going to start with the line, like I said. Go ahead and draw it out. You could do, you know, like an inch or so. I'll do like a 1¼ inch. Okay. Sometimes Onshape, depending on what you do, might assume you're drawing an arc, which is kind of interesting. I'm just gonna draw a line that goes like this. You could have this, you know, be like mirrored if you wanted. For the purpose of like using this tool, learning how to use it, you can just freehand it. You can also go in, like draw that approximately, go in, dimension this, maybe want that to be 1. Okay. That one is actually already defined, so I would say, okay, you can change it to 1/2 inch. Actually might make this a little bit more. Let's see, because that's 1. Let's make this line 2. And we also need to draw our arcs, so don't worry, I'm not forgetting. I'm just going through and showing like, hey, you can freehand stuff and then go in later and really make it exact. Okay. So right now we have that. You can also toggle around and kind of see how it interacts with that face, which is cool. You just don't, you want to be careful about doing that when you're actually sketching because you want to make sure your sketches are precise. So then I'm going to grab a 3-point arc. I'm going to click on the endpoints here. I'm just going to make it tangent, so the radius is going to be 0.75. I'll place that. Tangent meaning like it's going to snap and follow, basically it's going to be tangent to those lines there. Okay, so you'll probably notice too that faces, generated. For this we just need the profile, so we don't need those faces. You can like go in and delete that line if you'd like. You can also keep them, they're not going to hurt anything. Because I use Onshape a lot, I would probably delete them just so they don't bother me. But it really doesn't matter, and I'll show you why. So if you finish your sketch, say you don't delete them and you finish it. Okay, so now we've got this face and we want to sweep it around this profile here. So we're going to grab this sweep tool up here. It's right next to revolve. This one looks more like a normal noodle, a spaghetti noodle, if you will, this macaroni spaghetti. When we select that, it's going to have the same like dialog box as the revolve did. So it's going to say, what faces do you want to sweep? That's going to be our circle. And what do you want your sweep path to be? So you can select this line, then you can select that line, and then that line, and it's going to follow that path, okay? And create that little object there, little hook. We didn't necessarily do it to the exact proportions of that, but you get the idea. If you felt like, if you were designing this for something and you needed to modify it, then you would go in and modify that sketch too and just space it out more. But there's your sweep hook. Go ahead and screenshot that and put it in your assignment.